Imagine risking everything for a stranger. Meet Maro, a brilliant young surgeon dedicating his life to treating the poor. Never charging a dime, his selflessness led him to a dangerous military outpost. But the quiet didn't last. A panicked colleague suddenly pulled him aside. "We have to evacuate now. Terrorists are advancing," his colleague warned, urging him to run. But Maro stood his ground. A critically injured little girl was bleeding out. Maro locked eyes with his friend, refusing to abandon her. "Go, I'll be right behind you," he promised, turning back to the operating table as time ran out. Alone in the war zone, Maro went to work. Against all odds, the master surgeon improvised with basic tools, fighting to pull the little girl back from the brink. He succeeded and saved her life. He took her to leave, but suddenly the terrorists arrived at the location. The terrorists surrounded him and demanded he hand over the girl, threatening to kill him. But Maro refused and stood his ground. He stood in front of them to protect her. Unfortunately, they grabbed him without hesitation, beat him, and inflicted severe injuries all over his body. He fell to the ground, and everyone thought he died. The terrorists approached him, but suddenly Maro woke up. It was as if nothing happened to him. His appearance changed, and his eye color turned monstrous. He decided to make them regret it and attack them. He took them down one by one, beating them severely. Maro was a handsome young man. However, he was not human and fought brutally. He was a kind vampire. The events then shifted to a flashback. The flashback took place 20 years ago. At that time, Maro was still a young child living peacefully with his parents. Nothing lasted forever, and the doomed day arrived. A dangerous gang attacked the house to kidnap Maro. His father had to fight the gang to defend him. His mother seized the opportunity, took Maro, and escaped in the car, but unfortunately, his father could not catch up with them. The gang leader defeated the father and killed him. The mother kept crying, but decided to move on with her life to raise her son. She took Maro and traveled to a distant place. They lived together until he grew up. She always kept him locked inside and prevented him from leaving the house out of fear for his safety. She taught him everything herself. Because of that, Maro felt he was living in a prison and could not take it anymore. One day, he decided to leave. He left the house and kept walking until he reached the forest. By coincidence, there was a girl on a trip with her family. She chased a rabbit and got lost. A pack of predatory wolves appeared, surrounded her, and began their attack. The girl became terrified and tried to escape, but she tripped and fell to the ground. She realized her end was near. Fortunately, Maro arrived at the right time and stood in front of her. He stepped in to defend her. He used his power and started fighting the wolves alone, even though there were many of them. He was brave and fast, taking them down one by one with heavy blows. Any wolf that approached was instantly defeated. He successfully beat the wolves and saved the girl, but she fainted from the shock. Maro stayed beside her to comfort her until she woke up. She thanked him. She thanked him for saving her. She promised she would always remember him and return the favor. Maro was happy with her words. For the first time, he felt like a normal human. When he saw her family getting closer, he left her because he knew he had to leave. He returned home, but his mother found out what happened. She asked him not to do that again and issued a warning. She warned him that if humans discovered his truth, his life would be in danger. Maro was not convinced, left her, and entered his room. He spent the whole night thinking about the words of the girl he saved. It was obvious he developed feelings for her. He decided to go check on her the next day. Unfortunately, the gang discovered their location and launched an attack. They attacked the house because of what Maro did. They tried to kidnap him, and his mother tried to kill the gang members, but they outnumbered her. Unfortunately, they defeated her and injected her with a strange substance. When Maro arrived home, he tried to defend his mother. He could not defeat them because they were also vampires. His mother had to sacrifice herself. She took the hit in his place to delay the gang. Maro seized the opportunity, carried her on his back, and ran. He ran to the forest. Her injury was serious, and she asked him to leave her and escape without worrying about her. The last thing she told him was that she loved him, and unfortunately, she died in his arms. Maro collapsed and cried bitterly. He had to execute her will. He poured gasoline on the house, set it on fire, and decided to escape. He wanted to increase his power. He planned to take revenge on the gang that caused his family's death. The events then returned to the present. This happened after revealing the backstory. The narrator reminded the viewers to like the video and subscribe to the channel. He told them to do it early so they would not forget as the story shifted to another world. At the same time, Maro was preparing to leave the location. Unfortunately, he stepped on a bomb. The terrorists had planted it, causing a massive explosion. His friend was shocked and thought Maro had died, but he underestimated him. His body healed the injuries quickly, and he walked away from the place with confidence. He returned to his city. The next day, Maro went to the hospital where he intended to work. Suddenly, a girl named Reem approached. Reem bumped into Maro while running and dropped his glasses. Instead of apologizing, she told him to watch where he was going. She called him an idiot. Maro got angry at her rudeness and went to attend a meeting held by the hospital director. There, he saw the girl who bumped into him again. Reem was also a doctor at the hospital. Maro learned she was going to perform a surgery on a patient. However, when Maro heard her plan, he objected because because her approach was wrong. He warned her that if she proceeded, the result would unfortunately be a failure. Reem was not convinced by his words and insisted on performing the surgery herself. She left him, entered the operating room, and started the operation. Morrow went to watch her with the rest of the doctors to see what would happen. He noticed Reem signaling to the head of the hospital. It turned out he was her uncle and the connection that got her the job. That was why he allowed her to perform the surgery, as he wanted her to prove herself. Time passed and everything seemed fine. Suddenly, the patient started bleeding heavily. Reem realized that Morrow was right. She became nervous and did not know what to do to save the patient. Fortunately, Morrow intervened without hesitation and entered the operating room. Morrow arrived at the right time and decided to complete the surgery himself. Reem refused, but her uncle forced her to agree. Reem felt embarrassed and left the room. Morrow decided to use his surgical skills and his special abilities. He took control of the situation, completed the surgery, and successfully saved the life of the patient just in time. Everyone was impressed by Morrow's talent. The head of the hospital kept clapping for him. Reem was furious because Morrow was more skilled than her and embarrassed her in front of her uncle. She went to sit with her close friend. She kept drinking to forget the incident. Reem asked her friend to think of a way to take revenge on the arrogant doctor. However, her friend told her that Morrow was not arrogant, but rather a handsome and smart young man. She suggested that Reem get close to him to benefit from his experience. Reem refused and said that even if he were the last man on Earth, it would be impossible. Suddenly, a doctor went to speak with Reem and informed her that Morrow became her team leader. Reem was surprised. When she went to her department, she found Morrow there. She tried to talk to him, but he treated her with arrogance as if she were his servant. Reem grew furious, followed him to his office, and asked him why he treated her so poorly. Morrow handed her his glasses, pointed out that she broke them, and demanded she fix them. Reem was upset by his attitude, but she had to obey him in order to learn from him. She left the office in a state of anger. Later, Morrow returned home and found his hacker friend waiting for him. His friend helped him track down the gang that killed his family. The friend prepared a surprise and presented a robot to help Morrow with chores and keep him company. Morrow refused to take the robot because he preferred solitude, but his friend kept insisting until Morrow agreed. At night, Morrow entered his room and started watching old videos of his family. He cried because these videos were the only things left of them. They were just some memories and videos. He missed them deeply. Morrow promised them he would take revenge on the gang that killed them. The next day, he woke up early and found the robot waiting for him. The robot asked him to eat breakfast before leaving for work. Later, his friend arrived and handed him his medicine. This medication helped Morrow control himself when he saw blood, preventing him from attacking humans. Morrow was happy and thanked his friend. When Morrow arrived at the hospital, he found Reem waiting. She returned his glasses after fixing them. Reem told him they were now even, left him, and walked away. At the same time, the head of the hospital held a large conference to introduce the new director. It turned out that the new director was the gang leader Anne Morrow was searching for. The danger walked right into the hospital. When Morrow saw him, he felt something strange but did not understand what it was. After the conference, Morrow went to prepare for a surgery. At that moment, a strange person entered Morrow's office and swapped his medicine box. The stranger placed a different fake medication instead. Unfortunately, Morrow did not notice and took the fake medicine. This meant he would lose control of himself. Morrow went to the operating room to begin the surgery. Everything was going well, but when Morrow saw the blood, he felt dizzy and lost control of himself. The gang leader was watching him, as he was the one who swapped the medicine. He wanted to expose Morrow's true identity to everyone. Morrow's appearance started to change, and he transformed into a vampire. He had to leave quickly and rush to his office. He kept a second dose of the medicine in his jacket. When Morrow took it, he returned to normal. Then he entered the operating room again and decided to complete the surgery. He successfully finished the operation in record time and saved the patient's life. The patient survived. The gang leader was surprised by what happened and did not understand how Morrow did that. Morrow noticed that the director was focused on him and began to suspect him. When he left, he found Reem waiting for him. She saw what happened and asked him why he left the operating room looking nervous, but he refused to answer her. He asked her not to interfere in his life or she would regret it. He left her and returned home. He sat with his hacker friend and told him what happened. He mentioned he felt someone was watching him. He gave him the fake medicine to analyze it. He wanted to know its ingredients. At that time, the gang leader went to a secret laboratory. It turned out he conducted experiments on humans. He tried to turn them into vampires, but he failed. He got angry and decided to capture Morrow immediately. The next day, Morrow went to the forest and stood by the tree where he buried his mother. He remembered his memories with her and apologized to her. He felt bad that he could not protect her. He imagined her standing in front of him and talking to him. She told him to ease his burden. She told him not to carry the blame and to forgive himself because it was not his fault. Morrow was touched and cried. When he returned home, he was surprised to find Reem there. there. He asked her what she wanted, but she fought with him because he was harsh with the patients and treated them badly. She asked him to change his treatment of them, or she would make her uncle fire him from the hospital. He refused and told her to get out. He told her to leave the house before he treated her worse than the patients themselves. Suddenly, he felt he was in danger. He knew that someone was near the house. When he looked out the window, he saw a gang member watching him. The gang member signaled to his friend to warn him. Morrow decided to drop Reem off himself to protect her. He took the keys to her car. He took her car against her will and drove it. Reem was surprised by his personality, as he was about to treat her badly earlier. She was confused that he was now giving her a ride. She tried to talk to him to know why he insisted on dropping her off, but he did not answer. He ignored her and stayed silent the whole way until they reached the hospital. He then got out of the car. He knew the gang was watching him. He went to an isolated place and indeed saw the person chasing him. He started running after him until he cornered him. He tried to catch him and started fighting him, but he was surprised that the man had unnatural strength. He realized that he was a vampire like him. Morrow decided to use all his power to defeat him. He successfully hit him. He knocked him to the ground and approached him, but suddenly another vampire appeared from behind him. Unfortunately, the attacker injected a strange substance into his neck. Morrow felt dizzy and did not understand what was happening to him. He tried to gather his strength. He managed to leave the place. By coincidence, Reem saw him after she finished work and noticed he was not acting normally. She asked him if he was okay, but he could not bear the pain, fell to the ground and fainted. Reem was surprised. She ran towards him to check on him. She noticed his body was cold and his heart was not beating, as if he were dead. She got scared. She rushed him to the hospital to save his life. There, she tried to give him first aid. She heard him calling out for his mother. She was surprised by his condition. She held him to check if his heart started working or not. Suddenly, he woke up as if nothing happened. He left the room completely unharmed. Reem tried to follow him. She told him that his heart stopped a moment ago and that something was definitely wrong. She asked why his body was cold like a corpse. However, he refused to answer her, left her, and walked away. When he returned home, he told his friend what happened and gave him the substance he was injected with. He asked him to analyze its ingredients to know why he fainted. Afterwards, Reem kept thinking about what happened. She felt Morrow was hiding a dangerous secret. She searched the internet to find out why his body was cold. She found an article suggesting he might be a vampire, but of course, she did not believe it. She decided to get closer to him. She wanted to discover what he was hiding. She wondered how he could be a doctor and deal with blood all the time if he was a vampire. The next day, she waited for him until he arrived at the hospital. She started walking behind him to watch him. Morrow sensed her and looked at her. She became nervous and pretended to be on a call, asking an imaginary person how they were. She said she was doing well. Suddenly, her actual phone rang, exposing her lie. She apologized to him and claimed she was acting childishly, but she still did not give up. She entered his office while he was sleeping. She approached him to check if his body was still cold, but suddenly he woke up and looked at her. She got scared and left quickly. She thought she escaped from him, but she was surprised to find him standing in front of her. She could not comprehend how he arrived. He cornered her so fast and asked her if she was watching him because she liked him. Reem got nervous for the first time. At the same time, she noticed he was handsome and felt her heart beating. However, she lied. She said she would never look at him or love him. She told him she only came to check on him. He warned her again to stay away from him. He threatened to make her regret it. He left her and walked away. Afterwards, he went to examine a patient and learned that his wife gave him medicine. He scolded her and asked her not to do that again. When he left, the patient's daughter went to talk to him. She asked him if her father was going to live. Reem told her yes and not to worry, saying he would be fine, God willing. However, Morrow frankly told her that his condition was critical and he could die at any moment. He did this so he would not give her false hope. The girl became sad and kept crying. Reem got angry at him because he was cruel. She felt he had no heart and hugged the girl to comfort her. Afterwards, she went to his office and fought with him. She asked him to be kind to the children at least. However, he told her that he was her leader and she had to listen to his words. He left her and went to examine a female patient. There, he saw her son crying because he was worried about her. Morrow was touched because he remembered his own condition when his mother died. He talked to the child alone and told him to pull himself together and be strong. He promised him he would do everything he could to save his mother. Then he left him and got into the ambulance to go perform the surgery on her. When he arrived, his hacker friend suddenly called him. His friend told him that the substance he was injected with yesterday was the same substance that caused his mother's death. Morrow was surprised by what he heard. He realized that the gang currently chasing him was the same gang that killed his family in the past. He was happy he finally found them. He noticed two of them watching him and got angry. He decided to catch them. He abandoned the surgery and ran after them at full speed. He kept chasing them until he caught up with them in an abandoned place. He used his power and transformed into a terrifying vampire. They started fighting with him. They tried to hit him, thinking he was a weak young young man, not knowing he was a brutal monster. He grabbed one of them and choked him with all his strength. He threatened him to confess about the gang leader or else he would kill him. The vampire got scared and was about to confess, but suddenly the police arrived at the location and surrounded them. The gang seized the opportunity and escaped from him. Morrow was afraid the police would discover his truth. He raised his hands and pretended to surrender, but in an instant, he hit them and escaped from the place. He quickly returned to the hospital, changed his clothes, and decided to complete the surgery. Fortunately, he successfully saved the patient's life. When he came out, he found her son waiting for him outside. The son thanked him for keeping his promise and saving his mother. He told him he decided to study hard because he wanted to be a successful doctor like him. Morrow was happy with his words and encouraged him. He left him and entered his office. Reem went to talk to him. She was angry. She asked him why he suddenly left the surgery, but he refused to answer her. He told her he had an important errand. However, she blamed him because he neglected his work, and the patient could have died because of him. She warned him that if he did that again, she would tell her uncle and make him fire him from the hospital. She left him and walked out. Morrow was affected by her words and truly felt guilty, realizing he was wrong. Suddenly, his hacker friend called him again. When Morrow returned home, he learned from him that the substance the gang injected him with increased his power as a vampire. He felt sad because he wanted to be a normal human, and he was afraid of putting the patients' lives in danger. The next day, Reem woke up early. She heard a news report on TV saying that a strange person attacked the police and hit them. When she saw him from the back, she suspected it was Morrow. She was sure he had a secret and that the matter was serious. She decided to resume watching him. When she went to the hospital, she kept walking behind him, but this time from a distance. She tried to take a picture of his back to compare it with the picture she saw on TV. However, he sensed her and she got nervous. She pretended she was taking a selfie, smiled, left him, and ran away. She tried to meet her friend. She showed her the picture and told her she suspected he was the one who fought with the police. However, the picture was not clear. Her friend thought she was jealous of him because he was more skilled than her. Reem got upset because her friend did not believe her, so she left her and walked away. At that time, the gang leader recalled his memories. It turned out he worked in a secret laboratory, but he stole the samples from his manager. He decided to test them on himself. Because of that, he gained superpowers and became a vampire. The manager tried to stop him, but he could not. Unfortunately, the leader killed him, destroyed the laboratory, and started executing his plan. He gathered an army of vampires to take over the world. He woke up from his memories and stood in front of the mirror, laughing. It was obvious he was planning something dangerous. Later, Morrow went to the hospital. However, when he saw blood, he felt a strange sensation, even though he took his medicine. He ran to the bathroom quickly and washed his face. Surely, the reason this happened was because of the substance the gang gave him. He was afraid he would lose control of himself and attack any of the patients. When he came out of the bathroom, he heard a loud noise and went to see what was happening. He found out a patient wanted to escape because he was an addict. Morrow tried to calm him down and convinced him to come with him so he could help him. However, he noticed the patient had a cut on his hand. When he saw the blood, he started feeling dizzy. The patient seized the opportunity and tried to attack Reem. Reem got scared and closed her eyes. However, Morrow stood in front of her, protected her with his body, and took the hit in her place. Because of that, he got injured in his face. Reem was surprised and went to check on him, but she noticed that the wound on his face was healing quickly. Morrow was afraid she would discover his truth, so he put his hand over the wound. Morrow left her and entered his office to hide it. He put a medical bandage on his face so no one would suspect anything. Reem followed him to check on his condition. She asked him to let her sterilize the wound, but Morrow refused and closed the door in her face. Later, Morrow returned to his house and told his friend what happened when he saw blood. He also told him that Reem saw his wound healing. His friend was surprised and asked him to avoid surgeries and blood for the coming period until he found a way to return to normal. Morrow had to listen to his advice. The next day, Morrow went to the hospital wearing a bandage on his face to hide the wound that did not actually exist. When Reem saw him, she went to talk to him, pretending to check on him, and suddenly, she got close to him and removed the bandage from his face to confirm if what she saw was real or not. But she found him injured, felt embarrassed, and apologized to him. Morrow anticipated this and drew a fake wound, so no one would suspect him. He left her and walked away laughing because he fooled her. He went to a vending machine to buy juice, but it was broken, took his money, and dispensed nothing. Morrow got angry and used his power to hit the machine until he broke it. Coincidentally, a female doctor stood far away, saw him, and was shocked by his actions. Then the hospital director held a meeting for all doctors and informed them about an important conference. He asked someone to volunteer and attend, but everyone refused. Morrow seized the opportunity and decided to go to stay away from surgeries and blood. Reem decided to go with him to keep an eye on him. When Reem left the meeting, she went to buy juice, but she noticed that the vending machine was broken. She remembered seeing Morrow's hand injured during the meeting and suspected he was the one who broke it. She lacked evidence and and decided to check the surveillance cameras. The next day, she traveled with him to the conference. When they arrived, all the doctors rushed to Morrow because he was famous and welcomed him. Reem felt jealous because everyone ignored her. She pretended she did not care and that it did not matter to her. After the conference ended, the two decided to go out for a walk without telling each other their plans. Morrow left her, went to the forest, and stood at the exact spot where he saved the girl from the wolves. He was unable to forget her because she was the only girl he liked at first sight. Coincidentally, Reem went to the same location. They were both surprised to see each other. Morrow thought she was following him, but Reem told him she visited this place often. She told him she almost died as a child because of wolves, but a kind person arrived and saved her. Morrow was surprised by her story and realized she was the girl he saved. He kept staring at her as she walked, unable to believe he finally found her. He felt happy because he had been searching for her. They continued walking together until they returned to their conference. At night, they gathered with the rest of the doctors to celebrate and decided to play a game together. Reem kept losing, and they asked her to drink. Consequently, she got dizzy and started hallucinating. After the party, she sat next to Morrow and fell asleep on his shoulder from exhaustion. Morrow laughed at her behavior and felt romantic emotions towards her for the first time because he realized she was the girl he loved. He decided to carry her on his back, took her to her room, and kept looking at her with eyes full of love and romance. He did not want to disturb her, so he left and went to his own room. However, later they heard the fire alarm, woke up terrified, and thought there was a real fire. Both rushed out quickly, but they learned someone pressed it by mistake. Reem noticed that the wound on Morrow's face disappeared because he forgot to apply his medical bandage. She became certain that he was not a normal human. When Morrow realized this, he rushed to his room, hoping she was still drunk and unaware of her surroundings. The next day, the conference ended and they prepared to return to the hospital. Suddenly, Morrow received a message from an unknown number. The text told him to go to a specific address to discover his mother's killer. Morrow was surprised. He decided to go, left Reem, and walked away. He arrived at the provided address, which turned out to be an abandoned place. There, he found two gang members waiting for him. They set an ambush and placed blood around to weaken him. The moment he saw the blood, he felt dizzy and lost control of himself. He started transforming into a vampire. Consequently, the other vampires seized the opportunity and attacked him. They beat him with all their strength, knocked him to the ground, and were about to kill him. Suddenly, a masked person arrived and saved him just in time. The masked savior was also a vampire, fought the attackers, and successfully defeated them. He grabbed them, beat them, and killed them easily. Morrow was terrified of him, attacked him, and removed his mask to reveal his face. He was shocked to see it was the hospital director. Morrow was stunned and did not know that the director was the gang leader he had been searching for all along. The director pretended to be kind and acted out a fake scenario to fool him. He convinced Morrow that he came to help him and asked for his trust. Morrow actually fell for the trick. Morrow fell into the trap, believed him, and went with him. When they left the place, the director told him that he was infected with a rare virus and turned into a vampire. Because of that, the gang expelled him and killed his family. Since then, he decided to fight them to take revenge on them. The director proposed a deal where the two of them would cooperate to defeat the gang. Morrow believed him and agreed. When Morrow returned home, he told his friend what happened. He was happy because the director would help him. He thought that he would finally not be alone and that he would avenge his family. Morrow did not know that the director was the gang leader, the reason behind everything, and the head of the snake. At that time, Reem was shocked after she saw Morrow's wound disappear. She started connecting the dots, understood that he was not human, and became afraid of him. She decided to stay away from him completely again. Therefore, the next day at the hospital, Morrow saw her and tried to talk to her, but she ignored him and did not answer him. Morrow noticed that she changed and that every time she saw him, she left him and walked away. He decided to talk to her alone. He asked her if something was bothering her, and when he felt she was afraid of him, he lied to her. He told her he had a rare disease that made his body cold. He held her hand and put it on his face. Reem was surprised that he was actually cold. She felt sorry for him and promised to keep his secret and not tell anyone. Morrow thanked her and walked away. He went to his office and took his medicine to prepare for the surgery, but suddenly, while he was walking, he saw a nurse walking with blood bags. He felt a strange sensation and could not control himself. He approached her to take the blood and drink it, but the director arrived and stopped him. The director pretended to be kind and worried about him. He took Morrow to his office to talk to him. The director learned from Morrow that he never drank human blood, even once in his life. The director tried to convince him that he would die if he stayed like that. He asked Morrow to come to his house so he could help him. Morrow started to suspect him, but he agreed. At night, he went to the director's house. There, the director told him that he did not harm humans, but instead bought blood bags from poor people and drank them. He showed Morrow the refrigerator. Morrow learned that the director conducted experiments on the blood to change its color so he could drink it anytime without any anyone suspecting him. The director presented a bag to Morrow and asked him to drink it, claiming it would increase his power even more. The director actually did this to transform Morrow into a full vampire, as drinking blood was a condition for the vampire transformation. The director was confident that Morrow would agree. Morrow was indeed affected by his words and weakened. He was about to drink it, but he got scared of turning into a monster. He backed down and apologized to him. Morrow told him that he promised his mother he would not drink blood. He left him and walked away. The director got angry that his plan failed. At that time, Reem went to visit her family's graves because it was the anniversary of their death. She was devastated because she missed them. Her uncle went to comfort her. Reem thanked him because he was the only one who took care of her. Her uncle became nervous from her words. His hand was shaking, revealing that he suffered from a dangerous disease. The next day, Morrow went to the hospital and talked to the director. He told him that he decided to submit his resignation because he needed to stay away from surgeries and blood. He left the director and went to his office to gather his belongings. When Reem found out, she went to talk to him and tried to convince him not to do that, but he was determined. Suddenly, they heard a nurse screaming loudly. They went to see what happened and were surprised to see a patient bleeding and dying in a terrifying way. Morrow was surprised because the patient was fine in the morning. He suspected that something dangerous was definitely happening in the hospital. He decided to stay to discover the truth and sat alone to think. A new doctor went to talk to him. She offered him food and gifts and tried to get close to him because she liked him. Morrow did not want to embarrass her and took the gift from her. Reem saw them standing together and thought there was something between them. She felt jealous, as if there was something between her and Morrow too. Suddenly, another patient fell ill. Morrow went to examine him and noticed he had the same symptoms as the patient who died. He gave him a painkiller and became certain that someone was behind what was happening in the hospital. When he came out, he found the patient's daughter crying. She told him she wanted her father to rest because he was in pain. Morrow was touched by her words and hugged her to comfort her. He promised her he would do everything he could to treat her father and save his life. Afterwards, Reem went to the library and found a book about vampires. She decided to buy it. When she returned home, she spent the whole night reading it. She learned that vampires had cold bodies, supernatural abilities, and their wounds healed quickly. She remembered all of this in Morrow as he had all these traits. His body was cold and the wound on his face disappeared. She suspected he might be one of them. She decided to go back and watch him again, as she was determined to follow him. Later, Morrow went to meet the gang leader. He told him he decided to stay at the hospital and asked him for a bag of blood from the ones he had. The leader was happy and thought Morrow actually intended to drink it, so he gave it to him. However, Morrow did not do that. He gave it to his friend to analyze it and know its ingredients. The next day, Morrow had a surgery, and the leader went to watch him because he thought Morrow drank the bag he gave him yesterday and became a full vampire. However, he was surprised that Reem was the one who would perform the surgery instead of him. The gang leader was shocked and realized that Morrow deceived him and refused to drink the blood. When the surgery ended, Morrow went to thank Reem because she helped him. However, she asked him to be honest with her and asked if he hid something from her. Morrow became nervous and wanted to tell her the truth, but he backed down because he did not want to put her life in danger. He told her that he was just tired and nothing more. Reem knew he lied to her, but she had no proof. She went to change her clothes to leave, but when she stepped outside, she met the injured patient. She was surprised that he left the hospital and walked alone. She tried to take him back inside, but he possessed unnatural strength. He pushed her and knocked her to the ground. She had to call Morrow to help her. Suddenly, a gang vampire appeared, grabbed the patient, and threw him in front of a car. However, Morrow arrived just in time and saved the patient at the last moment. He stood in front of the car in his place, got hit, and fell to the ground. Reem saw him and thought he died, but surprisingly, he stood back on his feet. She noticed his wound healed, and at that moment, she knew that he was a vampire. When she entered the hospital, she pretended she saw nothing until he walked away. She collapsed and sat on the ground, shocked by what she discovered. Afterwards, Morrow returned home, and his friend gave him the blood test result for the sample he took from the gang leader. He informed him it was the blood of young children. Morrow was surprised by what he heard. He became certain that the leader was a dangerous person. He got angry and decided to watch him. He needed to discover his truth and make him regret it. The next day, he held a meeting at the hospital. He told the doctors he had an arm injury and could not perform any surgeries in the coming period. He asked them to bear with him until he received treatment. He promised to make it up to them. Reem knew he lied to them, but she refused to expose him. At that time, the female doctor who liked him saw a little girl sitting on the roof and thought she wanted to jump. She ran to her and brought her down. She warned her not to do that again. However, the little girl informed her she had a dangerous disease and would die soon. The doctor was moved by her words. She felt sorry for her condition and hugged her to comfort her. She asked her not to lose hope because a miracle might happen. She took her and returned her to her room. Afterwards, the gang leader went to talk to Morrow Maro. He told him he knew Maro avoided surgeries because he could not control himself when he saw blood. He advised him to listen to him and drink his blood to increase his power. However, Maro refused. He informed him he would rather die than drink children's blood. He asked him to stay away from him because he did not want his help. He left him and walked away. The leader was surprised by his words and realized Maro analyzed the blood components. Afterwards, Reem's friend noticed she was tired and had a high fever. She asked her to take a day off to rest. She supported her and dropped her home. When Maro found out, he grabbed some medicine and decided to visit her. Reem was surprised when she saw him. She lied and told him she was fine and told him to leave. However, he refused, entered the house against her will, and forced her to rest. He stayed beside her to take care of her and applied cold compresses. She was happy with his tenderness, but she remained confused, not knowing if he was good or evil. She told him she saw him during the accident and knew he was a vampire. Maro was surprised and decided to tell her the truth. He told her everything about himself. He informed her he was the one who saved her from the wolves in the forest. He thought she would fear him, but she cried because she had been searching for him for a long time. She thanked him for saving her life and fell asleep from exhaustion. Maro was happy she believed him. He kept looking at her while she slept and bid her farewell. The next day, Reem woke up and felt better, but she found Maro sleeping on the couch. She realized he stayed awake all night beside her. She put her hand on his face to make sure she was not dreaming. Suddenly, her friend walked in on them and ruined the romantic moment. She misunderstood the situation. She told them she arrived at a bad time, left the food for her, and walked away. Reem felt embarrassed, but she laughed at her behavior. She went downstairs with Maro to go to the hospital. On the way, she reassured him she would keep the secret and tell no one he was a vampire. Maro was happy and thanked her. He went to his office. Suddenly, his hacker friend called him again and told him he found important information. He sent him an old picture of the gang leader taken with his family back then. Maro was surprised when he saw it. He realized the leader knew their truth a long time ago. He connected the dots together and suspected he was behind his family's death. The next day, Reem's friend went to talk to her. She asked her if she and Maro were secretly dating, but Reem told her they were just colleagues. Suddenly, Maro passed in front of them. Her friend noticed he removed the medical bandage and the wound on his face disappeared. She was surprised. Reem became nervous her friend would discover the secret, so she lied to her and said she told her that he underwent plastic surgery to restore his face to how it was. At that time, the gang leader appeared. He conducted experiments on the patients under the pretext of inventing a new medicine that could treat any patient. Unfortunately, Reem's uncle believed him because he hoped he would cure his illness. He decided to allow him to do whatever he wanted. Later, one of the good doctors felt that something strange was happening. He decided to go examine the patients himself and took a blood sample from one of them because he wanted to analyze it in the laboratory. However, as he was leaving, the guards stopped him and tried to take the sample by force. Fortunately, Maro arrived at the right time and stood in front of him. He had to protect this doctor. Everyone was surprised by his strength and became afraid of him. However, Reem's uncle arrived, took the samples from them, and told them that if they caused trouble again, he would fire them from the hospital. He left them and walked away. Maro realized that the gang leader controlled him. He sat with Reem and the good doctors, and they agreed to cooperate to stop the ongoing experiments. When Maro stepped out, he found the female doctor who liked him waiting. She told him she also wanted to help them and asked him to trust her. Maro felt she was kind and decided to add her to his team. Reem saw them and grew jealous that he stood with her alone. When they finished, she went to talk to him and asked if there was something between them. Maro understood she was jealous, but she felt embarrassed and told him not to misunderstand her. He claimed he did not understand anything at all and reassured her that she was just a colleague and there was nothing between them. Reem felt happy and realized she had a chance to be with him. She went to change her clothes. At the end of the day, as she was walking, she found him waiting for her. He offered to invite her to dinner. She played hard to get and told him to give her a chance to think. In less than a second, she agreed and went with him. They sat in a restaurant, but she was curious about him. She asked him about his life as a vampire. Maro had to tell her. He informed her he was the good kind and never in. His life drank human blood. Reem felt reassured because she was afraid of him. She mentioned she thought he might bite her one day while she slept beside him. She thanked him for saving her from the wolves when she was a child, and she fed him with her own hands. They spent a nice time together and were happy. They grew closer to each other. The next day, they went to the hospital. They learned that a little girl had her birthday that day. They decided to celebrate it because her father's condition was critical. They wanted anything to make her happy. Reem brought them a dress as a gift that originally belonged to her when she was young. The little girl saw it, became happy, and thanked her. She put it on. Maro threw her a party and let her father attend it. The father cried and asked them to take care of her. He felt tired and fainted. He was moved to his room, and they were sad because his end was near. However, later Maro learned that the gang leader decided to to run a test on the father to try the new medicine. Morrow grew angry and decided to confront him. Reem saw him and tried to stop him, but he ignored her. He went to wait for him in the garage. As soon as he saw the leader, he used his power, attacked him, and wounded his face. He asked him why he was doing this. The leader asked him to calm down and promised to explain everything. He took Morrow to his house to talk alone. There, he told him he was trying to invent a medicine to treat patients and simultaneously turn them from vampires into humans. However, Morrow was not convinced by his words because the patients he experimented on were innocent. He warned him to stop what he was doing or he would make him regret it. At that time, Reem worried about Morrow and went to his house to talk to him, but she learned from his friend that he was not there. She decided to seize the opportunity and tried to trick him into talking. She asked him about Morrow and the gang chasing him. However, Morrow arrived at the right time and reassured her he was fine. The next day, Morrow went to the hospital and was surprised that the critically ill patient woke up and started improving because of the gang leader's experiments. He felt he had misjudged him and started believing he was telling the truth. He decided to apologize to him. However, later, another patient's condition deteriorated and he unfortunately died. When the gang leader found out, his men moved his body to the morgue without anyone noticing. Coincidentally, Reem was passing by, saw them, got surprised, and went to tell Morrow and the good doctors. They sat together to think of a way to bypass the guards and enter the morgue. Morrow had an idea. He decided to make his hacker friend pretend to be dead so he could enter the morgue. He actually did that, and his plan succeeded. When his friend entered, he started examining the patient to discover the type of experiments conducted on him. He decided to take a blood sample from him, but suddenly he heard a noise outside and realized the guards were entering. He got scared, put on a lab coat, and pretended to be a doctor. He escaped quickly, went to Morrow and his team, and apologized to them because he could not help them. Suddenly, he saw Reem's friend and was dazzled by her beauty. He told them she was exactly his type and liked her from the first sight. Before he left, he asked Morrow to help him get to know her. However, Morrow yelled at him because it was not the right time. Morrow left him and walked away angry. The hero felt frustrated because his plan failed, but he did not give up. He thought of a new plan. He decided to invite the female doctor who liked him. He took her to a restaurant and offered her to join his team and help him. Of course, the doctor became happy. She agreed. Afterwards, they went out so he could drop her off. By coincidence, Reem saw them and misunderstood the situation. She walked away feeling jealous. However, Morrow went after her to tell her there was nothing between them. He explained his intentions. He only wanted her to help them. He told Reem that he liked a specific girl and it was impossible for him to look at anyone else. Reem understood that he meant her. She forgave him and returned home feeling happy because he finally liked her. The next day, the female doctor decided to execute Morrow's plan. She went to the patients. The patients were being experimented on. She took blood samples from them. When she left, the guards searched her. They did not find anything because she hid the samples in her hair. She became happy and thought her plan succeeded. Unfortunately, the guards saw her, arrested her, and took the samples. The hero was surprised when he found out. He suspected there was a spy. He thought a spy reported them. He decided to look for the spy, and he was indeed right. He discovered the identity of the spy. The spy was the female doctor who liked him. At night, she went to meet the gang leader at his house. He thanked her for helping him. It turned out she had been executing his orders for a long time. She was the one who swapped Morrow's medicine. The leader asked her to stay close. She had to watch Morrow and report all his news to him. The spy agreed and promised to do that. The next day, she went to the hospital. However, one of the nurses went to talk to her. The nurse told the spy what she saw. The nurse saw her standing with the gang leader. She asked her for money to stay silent. The spy got angry. She pretended to agree and took her to a room alone. She grabbed her by her neck and warned her not to tell anyone. She threatened to kill her. The nurse got scared and apologized to her. She said she was sorry and would not do it again. Reem and the good doctors gathered at Morrow's house so no one would see them. Everyone started suggesting ideas. They wanted to help each other. It was clear they had become one team. When they finished, the hero decided to give Reem a ride. He dropped Reem off to check on her. However, she noticed that his clothes were gloomy. She asked him to come with her. She took him to a store and bought him new casual clothes according to her taste. She was happy they suited him and admired his handsomeness. However, when they went out, she noticed he did not like sunlight, so she gave him her sunglasses. Morrow had to wear them, and people laughed at his appearance. Afterwards, he went to the hospital. They were surprised that an old female patient was in critical condition. Reem felt sad because she considered her like a grandmother. Morrow tried to comfort her. He decided to perform the surgery himself to save her life. When he returned home, he met his friend. He sat with his hacker friend friend to seek his help. He asked him to invent a new medicine to help him control himself. His friend agreed and promised to try. He needed to find a medicine that allowed Morrow to control himself when seeing blood. The next day, the friend managed to make the new medicine. However, he was not confident in its success because he had not tested it yet. Morrow had to take the risk because he had no time. He took the medicine and left. He went to the hospital to perform the surgery. Reem noticed he was nervous and scared. She held his hands to reassure him she was by his side. The hero calmed down and entered the operating room with confidence. Indeed, when he saw the blood, he was fine. He was happy the medicine succeeded. However, when he started the surgery, he was surprised that the old woman's condition was advanced. If he continued the surgery, she might die. He became confused, did not know what to do, and felt frustrated. He wanted to transfuse part of his blood to her to save her. Reem stopped him because she did not want her to turn into a vampire. Morrow cried and had to back down. When they came out, Reem hugged him to make him feel better. She thanked him for listening to her. The spy saw them and was surprised that Reem knew his truth. She went to tell the gang leader. He feared she would ruin his plan and decided to kill her. At night, Reem headed back. She returned home and felt something strange. Suddenly, a gang member appeared in front of her. He told her that her end was near and attacked her. Fortunately, Morrow arrived at the right time. He stopped him and knocked him to the ground. When Morrow saw his face, he realized he knew him. He was the one who killed his mother. Morrow became furious and anger took over him. He decided to take revenge and make them regret their actions. He fought him with all his strength, and a fierce battle took place between them. The criminal was terrified of his power. He took Reem as a hostage and threatened Morrow that if he approached, he would kill her. He threw her to the ground and escaped through the window. The hero refused to go after him. He ran to check on her and stayed beside her until she woke up. He apologized for putting her life in danger. However, she told him it was not his fault and thanked him for saving her. She asked him about the criminal. Morrow told her everything about the gang that killed his family. He said they were vampires who wanted to take over the world. Reem was surprised by what she learned and decided to help him defeat them. However, Morrow feared for her and took her to stay at his house to protect her. He was a gentleman, so he left his room for her. He and his friends slept in the living room. The next day, Morrow went to wake her up, but he was surprised she woke up early to prepare breakfast for him. She made the food he liked, and they sat to eat together happily. Afterwards, they went to the hospital. There, Reem asked him what he wanted to eat for lunch, but he declined, claiming he was on a diet because her food actually tasted bad. They kept joking and laughing together, and the spy saw them from afar. She felt jealous and started holding a grudge against her because she liked Morrow. Later, Reem returned to her office, but she found her uncle waiting for her. He asked her to stay away from Morrow and the good doctors because they caused trouble, but she refused. She tried to convince him that the experiments the gang leader conducted were dangerous. Unfortunately, her uncle did not believe her and walked away. Afterwards, Morrow learned that the gang tried to kidnap one of the good doctors. He feared for Reem's safety and asked her to stay at his place. She did not hesitate and agreed immediately. She went to her house to get her clothes, but she kept packing everything she saw, even pillows. Morrow got annoyed, but he knew all girls were like that. When he returned home, he found his hacker friend waiting for him. His friend invented a new medicine for him and informed him that if he took it, he would turn into a normal human for a day, but he would feel severe pain. Morrow agreed because he wanted to experience that feeling. He took it, but he felt intense pain all over his body to the point that he fainted. When he woke up, he was surprised that sunlight did not affect him. Moreover, his body temperature was normal. He became happy, decided to seize the opportunity, and went to the hospital. He made Reem put her hand on his heart so she could feel his heartbeat. He was happy because he had dreamed of becoming a human for a long time. Reem was touched by his words and sympathized with him. Unfortunately, the gang leader found out what happened. He decided to seize this opportunity to kill him while he was weak. At night, he asked a vampire to wait for him in the garage and attack him on sight. Morrow tried to fight the vampire, but unfortunately, he could not. His strength had not returned yet, and because of that, the criminal defeated him and approached him. The criminal was about to kill him, but fortunately, one of the good doctors arrived and shot at him with a gun. The criminal got scared and had to escape from the place. He returned to the gang leader after. He failed and started apologizing to him. However, the leader got angry because he was not up to the responsibility. The leader decided to kill him, approached him, and eliminated him. At that time, Reem went online and found a picture of the leader from 20 years ago. To her surprise, he still looked young and did not age. She realized that he was also a vampire like Morrow. When Morrow returned home, she confronted him with what she discovered. She asked him why he hid the truth from her. Morrow apologized to her and explained that he feared for her safety and did not want to put her in danger. He asked her to stay away from the leader because he was a dangerous and despicable person. If she got close to him, she could get killed. He said he was the one who wanted to take revenge on him the most because he killed his family. However, he had to wait for the right time because the leader was stronger than him. Morrow left her and entered his room. He held a picture of his family, kept crying, crying and promised them he would avenge them. Reem saw him and felt sorry for his pain. She tried to comfort him so he would not feel alone. She told him she trusted him and would stay by his side until he defeated the gang leader. The next day, the patient who was experimented on started showing symptoms of transformation. He got angry quickly and threw his food on the floor. His daughter was surprised by his condition. She tried to talk to him and asked what was wrong with him and asked him to calm down. He actually returned to his normal state when he heard her voice. He apologized to her and did not understand what was happening to him. Afterwards, Reem went to administer treatment to a sick little girl, but she saw a new doctor and noticed his behavior was strange. Her suspicion was correct because he was a psychopath. She asked him to treat the children well, but he refused and kicked her out. Reem got upset and went to tell Morrow what happened. When Morrow found out, he got angry and decided to teach him a lesson. He entered his office and threatened him that if he approached Reem again, he would hurt him. The psychotic doctor got scared of him and promised to follow his orders. At night, Morrow decided to reveal his true identity to one of the good doctors. He confessed to him that he was a vampire. Of course, the doctor did not believe him. The doctor joked and claimed he was Batman too. Morrow decided to prove it to him because he did not take his words seriously. He cut his hand in front of him and the doctor was surprised that the wound healed on its own. He became certain that Morrow was telling the truth. The doctor wished he had never known. Morrow took him and left the hospital to talk to him without anyone hearing them. The doctor apologized for not believing him and promised to help him. Morrow was happy with his words. When he returned home, he told Reem what happened. He informed her that they were no longer alone and they decided to cooperate. However, the next day at the hospital, Reem was surprised that the old woman she considered like her grandmother died. She felt sad for her. She hugged her and cried. Morrow tried to comfort her and attended the funeral with her. When they returned home, Morrow noticed she was still depressed. He stayed with her to console her. He brought her a sketchbook and made her color to improve her mood. Suddenly, his hacker friend saw a gang member on the surveillance camera. He realized the man was standing outside the house. He called Morrow to warn him. When Morrow found out, he told him to leave the matter to him. He seized the opportunity to expose the gang leader. He captured the vampire and took him to the leader's house. He threw him on the ground in front of the leader. Morrow asked the leader to kill the vampire to prove he did not work with him. Morrow gave him a chance to do so and asked him to send a picture of the corpse when he finished. Morrow laughed and left. The leader became angry at his audacity. When Morrow left, the leader hit the vampire with all his strength, but he refused to kill him because he needed him. He warned him not to let Morrow see him again. At night, the hero tried to sleep, but he dreamed of his mother, who died. He kept calling out to her to wait for him. Reem heard him and decided to stay awake beside him to comfort him. The next day, Morrow went to the hospital and decided to continue his plan. He kept taking samples from the patients who were being experimented on. The spies saw him and reported him to the guards so they would stop him and take the samples from him. The hero gave them a 5-second ultimatum to leave or else they would regret it. However, they refused. They mocked him, thinking he was a normal young man. He decided to fight them and started beating them heavily from all directions. Reem was amazed by his strength. She seized the opportunity and went to give the samples to their doctor friend to analyze them. The hero decided to take a sample to his friend to run experiments on it and discover its ingredients. When the result appeared, there was a surprise. He told them that the medicine they injected into the patients was actually a virus that turned them into vampires. Reem heard this and started to get scared. Morrow decided to take her out for a walk to reassure her. He needed to get this idea out of her head. He took her to the park, but she asked him to play hide and seek. She hid behind a tree, but he smelled her scent and found her location easily. Reem got angry because he ruined the game and got upset with him. To make it up to her, the hero held her hand. They kept walking together until they reached home. They spent a nice time and were happy. The two of them lived the happiest moments of their lives. At that time, the psychotic doctor entered his office, injected himself with the virus, and turned into a vampire. A male nurse saw him by coincidence, got scared, and tried to escape from him. However, the psychopath went after him and grabbed him by the neck. He sucked his blood, killed him, and faked his death to make it look like a suicide. The next day, the news reached our heroes, and they ran to the hospital. Morrow noticed the scent of a vampire in the place. He suspected it was the gang leader, became angry, and decided to take revenge on him. He got into his car and drove at full speed. He arrived at his house and kept provoking him to trick him into talking. His plan actually succeeded. The leader confessed everything. He said he was the one who killed his family because they wanted to stand in his way and refused to help him. He added, "But you are cooperating with me and helping me, so I will not hurt you. No one will be able to stand against us. We, too, will take over the world." Of course, Morrow refused and called him an idiot. He attacked him angrily. Anger filled his eyes and he transformed into a vampire. He wanted to take revenge for what the leader did to his family and to every patient. Unfortunately, the leader betrayed him. The leader tried to provoke Morrow to make him lose control and kill him, but the hero refused. He told him he would never become a criminal like him. He promised to defeat him and ruin his plan. He left him, went out, and walked walked in the street feeling sad for his family. He accidentally bumped into some bullying students. They thought he was a weak man and mocked his appearance. Maro got angry. He wanted to teach them manners and give them a moral lesson, but Reem arrived and asked what was happening. She stood in front of him to calm him down. The hero listened to her and went with her. When they returned home, he told her what happened with the leader. He was afraid she would consider him weak, but she told him. She was proud of him because he managed to control his anger and refused to use violence against him. Maro was happy with her words. For the first time, he felt safe and experienced the tenderness he was deprived of long ago. Feeling reassured, he went to sleep. The next day, Reem learned that her uncle had a serious illness and was about to die. She went to talk to him. She asked him why he hid it from her. He apologized to her and said he did not want her to worry about him. He reassured her that the leader found a cure for his condition. Reem tried to convince him that the medicine was actually a virus that would turn him into a vampire, but he asked her, "What vampire? You know they don't exist." He did not believe her and thought she wanted him to die so she could inherit from him. He got upset and told her, she disappointed him. Our heroine became sad that he misunderstood her words and knew she was just worried about him. She said, "I consider you like a father to me. You are my father." She left him and walked away, devastated and crying. At that time, the patients who were experimented on lost control of themselves and kept fighting each other with all their strength. Maro arrived just in time, stopped them, and realized the virus had spread through their bodies, and they were close to becoming vampires. He decided to act before it was too late and went to talk to the doctor. He asked the good doctor to find a cure for the virus before they transform. When they returned home, he found Reem telling him she decided to go to her house and no longer wanted to live with him. She reassured him she was brave and could defend herself. Maro agreed, but gave her a new phone. He told her it had a tracking device so that if anything happened to her, he could reach her and save her. Reem was happy with his care and thanked him. The next day, she went to the hospital feeling safe because she was being watched. She decided to submit her resignation because her uncle suspected her. However, Maro saw her, took her to his office to talk to her, and tried to convince her not to do that, saying, "I need you by my side." Finally, he decided to confess his feelings to her. He informed her he fell in love with her from the first time he saw her. He said it was not recent, but from the day he saved her, and that he had been looking for her and wanted her. He hugged her and asked her to stay with him. Reem was happy with his words and reversed her decision. She said, "Okay, I will stay." He replied, "Yes, stay." They remained, dear viewer, having some romantic moments together, which is none of our business. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Let's continue our story. Our heroine decided to move her belongings to her house. Maro went to help her and clean the place with her, but suddenly he received a message from an unknown number. The message told him that his hacker friend's life was in danger and not to take it as a joke. He was surprised and ran to catch up with him. Fortunately, he managed to arrive just in time. He saw 3 gang members holding his friend, wanting to kill him. He got angry and decided to fight them to save him. He used his power, transformed into a vampire, attacked them alone, and crushed their faces. His hacker friend decided to help him and hit one of them with his gun, knocking him unconscious. The third one got scared, said goodbye, ran as fast as he could, and escaped from the place. Guys, our hero was happy he won the fight. Suddenly, he received a call from the spy to check on him. We learned that she was the one who sent him the warning message. She was happy he was okay. The leader got angry when he found out the mission failed and suspected a gang member betrayed him. He decided to look for him to make him pay the price. The next day, the patients who were subjected to secret experiments went out of control. They kept fighting each other and destroying the hospital. Our heroes tried to stop them but failed. They felt helpless and did not know what to do. Maro had to lock them up alone. He returned home feeling sad and frustrated. Reem felt sorry for him and decided to stay with him to make him feel he was not alone. She found out he slept on a cold bed that felt like a refrigerator. Since he was a vampire, he did not feel anything. She had to wear a heavy jacket to endure the temperature he slept on. Our hero refused because he was afraid, but she kept begging him until he agreed. He thanked her and hugged her to keep her warm. At that time, the gang leader kidnapped Reem's uncle, lied to him, and told him he would cure him, but he injected him with the virus instead. It seemed he would soon transform. The next day, Maro's hacker friend invented a perfume that revealed vampires. He told him that if he sprayed it on an infected person, they would keep coughing. Our hero was happy he had someone like him and decided to use it. When he went to the hospital, he sprayed it on the spy because he suspected her. Indeed, she felt tired and kept coughing. Maro was shocked and became certain she was part of the gang. He felt sad because he trusted her. Suddenly, he heard a nurse screaming and ran to her. When he arrived, he saw a patient drinking a blood bag and realized he was close to transforming. He asked everyone to stay away from him and get out. Afterwards, Reem's uncle also felt tired. The symptoms started appearing and he fainted. Our heroine went to visit him and stayed beside him until he woke up. He told her what the leader did, apologized for not believing her, and asked her to take care of the hospital, saying his days in this world were numbered. Reem was touched by his words and promised to do so. She stayed up all night to take care of him, but she fell asleep from exhaustion. Her uncle cried, making it obvious he was hiding something from her. The next day, Reem woke up and went to talk to our hero. She asked him for a way to save her uncle, but he apologized to her. He told her his friend was still searching and asked her to stay beside her uncle to comfort him. However, she got angry at the gang leader was the reason. She decided to take revenge on him. She entered his office while he was sleeping and kept sneaking around. She tried to kill him. However, he had supernatural strength and sensed her. He grabbed her hand and threatened to make her regret it. However, Morrow arrived at the right time and pushed him away from her. He took her with him to calm her down. He informed her that if she did that, she would become a criminal like him. Reem was convinced by his words and apologized to him. She left him and went to check on her uncle. However, her uncle told her he wanted to confess a secret to her. He hid a secret from her for a long time. He asked her to open the safe over there. He told her, "Open it and you will understand everything." Reem was surprised by his words and told him she hoped it was not what she was thinking. However, she decided to do it. She went with Morrow to the library and found an audio recording in her uncle's voice. When she played it, she discovered he was the one who killed her father and killed her mother. He did all of this to take the hospital and become the director. She was shocked and could not believe what she heard. What they suspected turned out to be true. The one she considered her family unfortunately turned out to be a disaster. He was the reason for her family's death. She went to the hospital, breaking down in tears. Her uncle apologized to her and said, "I was greedy. Please forgive me. I regret it. And if time went back, it is impossible I would repeat what I did." Our heroine was sad and asked him, "What should I do? You broke my heart." Morrow took her to his office to try to comfort her. He informed her that her uncle loved her like his daughter. He asked her to stay with him at least in his last days. Reem was convinced by his words. She decided to do that. However, when she went in to see him, she was surprised that he passed away. She felt sad for him because she loved him. She covered him and told him she did not forgive him. Morrow hugged her to comfort her. He took her and they went to attend the funeral. At the same time, the gang leader suspected the spy was the one who betrayed him. He decided to test her. He asked her to kill Reem because she would cause them problems. The spy refused at first because it was the day of her uncle's funeral. However, he threatened her to do it, or else he would be certain she was a traitor. He said, "Then you know what will happen to you. No one will be able to stop my punishment." She got scared of his words and got confused. She did not know what to do or what decision to make. She saw Morrow as he was heading home and told him to take care of Reem. She left him and walked away. Our hero was surprised by her words and suspected Reem was in danger. He decided to give her a ride himself. Suddenly, he received a call. He learned there was an emergency and had to stay to perform the surgery. He apologized to Reem and asked her to call him when she got home. Indeed, when she arrived, she sent him a message to reassure him. However, afterwards, the spy went to her and saw her sleeping. She felt sorry for her, an innocent girl who had no fault in anything. She could not do it or hurt her. She left her and walked away. However, the shock was that the gang leader was waiting for her. He got angry because she disobeyed his orders. He choked her to punish her. His assistant tried to stop him. However, the leader choked him too. He wanted to kill both of them, but he backed down because they were the only ones left in the gang. He left them and decided to give them a second chance. Afterwards, Morrow discovered that the call was fake and there was no surgery. He worried about Reem and went to her house. He wanted to check on her. He found her sleeping and was happy she was fine. He was surprised the spy warned him and decided to confront her. The next day, he went to talk to her at the hospital. She decided to confess everything to him. She told him she helped the gang leader because he saved her when she was young. She said, "Since then, I have been executing his orders. I consider him like my father." Morrow felt she was kind and offered her to leave the leader and join his team. However, she refused and told him she considered him her father and said, "I cannot betray him." Although she was from the gang, our hero admired her personality. He thanked her for helping him save his friend and also because she refused to kill Reem. She was happy with his words. She left him and went to her office. However, the gang leader went to her and gave her a final chance to kill Reem. He told her he would make her regret it. At night, our hero was in a clothing store with his hacker friend. Suddenly, he received a message that Reem was in danger. He was surprised and ran to her. However, unfortunately, it turned out to be an ambush to separate them from each other. Suddenly, the psychopath appeared with gang members. They kidnapped his friend. It seemed this was the goal from the beginning. Afterwards, Morrow reached Reem and found her fine. He was surprised and realized that his friend was the one who was in danger. He ran back home to catch up with him. However, when he arrived, he was surprised to find his friend lying on the ground covered in blood. He knew he arrived late. He approached him and hugged him while crying. Reem arrived as well and hugged him. She tried to comfort him, but he lost control of himself. He decided to take revenge on the leader. He left her and went to the leader's house. When he arrived, he found the entire gang waiting for him. He attacked them one after the other and fought them. He succeeded in defeating a large number of them. However, as we know, numbers defeat courage. Unfortunately, they attacked him. They caught him off guard, and all of them managed to inject him. Because of that, his strength weakened. The leader laughed and told him that he could kill Reem now. He threatened Morrow to stay out of his way, or he would make her meet the same fate as his friend. Morrow feared for her because he had no one else but her. He left the place, went to her, hugged her, and apologized to her because he put her life in danger. He held his friend's hand and blamed himself because he was the reason for his death. He decided to bury him while he was, breaking down in tears. The next day, he went to the hospital and asked the good doctor to stop his research because he feared for him and did not want him to suffer his friend's fate. However, the doctor refused and insisted on continuing. He successfully discovered something important. He realized that Morrow's blood was the cure for the virus. He became happy because they could treat the patients, the ants, and defeat the gang. He went to inform Morrow about the result, but suddenly they received a call from the gang leader. The leader told them he kidnapped Reem. Morrow was surprised and decided to go to him. When he arrived, he found the gang waiting for him again. This time, he was prepared, brought the virus cure with him, and decided to fight them with it. He attacked them and took them down one by one with heavy blows. He defeated all of them, and no one could stop him. Unfortunately, the leader caught him off guard and hit him from behind. The leader took him to the room where Reem was kidnapped. He decided to kill him in front of her eyes and approached him. He prepared to do so, but the spy stood in front of him and took the hit in his place. She fell to the ground and died. Morrow got angry and gathered all his strength. Anger filled his eyes, and he started fighting the leader. A fierce battle broke out between them. Morrow successfully injected him with the cure he brought, but the leader hit him at the same time. The leader fell to the ground, and Morrow finally eliminated him. Unfortunately, Morrow suffered a severe injury because of the final blow. Reem took him to the hospital to try to save him, but he knew that his end was near. He asked the good doctor to inject him with the cure. He said he wanted to die as a human. The doctor was touched by his words and decided to fulfill his final wish. Afterwards, Reem took him outside to see the sunrise. She kept hugging him while crying. He told her she was the best thing that happened in his life and that he loved her. He said he was not regretful that he sacrificed his life for her. He closed his eyes and died. Reem broke down beside him. She told him she would always remember him and could never forget him. 3 months passed since that day. Reem kept visiting the places she used to go to with him. She looked at their pictures because she missed him deeply. One day, while she was returning home, she felt someone walking behind her. She got scared and tried to escape, but they cornered her in an abandoned place. She was surprised to see they were vampires. She thought her end had come and closed her eyes. Suddenly, a masked person appeared and stood in front of her to protect her. He fought them all and successfully beat them. He broke their facial bones. Reem was amazed by his strength. She thanked him, but when she saw his face, she was surprised to see it was Morrow. He reached out his hand to help her. She realized he faked his death all this time so he would not put her life in danger. She was happy he was still alive, and their story ended with a happy ending. It was true there were many victims, but good ultimately prevailed.